Nigel, I'll start with you. We were talking about this earlier. Apparently, we have to pay some amount of money to get out of something. We can get into a huge debate about the whys and wherefores. 36 billion is ridiculous, isn't it?
As Boris Johnson said, they can go whistle. And that was when we were talking about 100 billion. I mean, Jeremy, you've made a career out of abusive relationships. And that's what the EU and the United Kingdom seem to be in the middle of, which
Nice point. I would ask you this, and I asked it earlier. Is it right that we should pay anything? Is this not a negotiation whereby everybody seems to be getting involved and throwing figures out, probably for their own political gain?
Absolutely.
Should it not be done behind closed doors? And essentially, we will have to pay some money, but not what's being bandied around, surely.
Well, when I go to a restaurant and the bill comes, I hope that it reflects what I've just eaten, not what the restaurateur wants to charge me for me to leave the restaurant. I want to see exactly what it is, what the obligations are. There may be things that we've signed up to over a period of years that even when we leave in 2019, there will still be contractual obligations. I don't mind that. But to start talking about 100 billion, 36 billion here, 40 billion there, no, absolutely not. And it may be that a future show you could get Tusk and Juncker in and David Davis and they can argue it out. But it seems to me that what's happening is that even though we're alive and well and kicking and negotiating hard for the United Kingdom, and for every pound we give them that we don't need to give them, that's money that we could be spending on the National Health Service or on the police or on education. So why would we be offering to give them money when what we're doing
because we want some of the things they have, Nigel. That's the problem.
Like the Mercedes and BMWs. And
well, we still want a trade deal and we still want free movement. There has to be. We'll bring Johnny. You'll bring Johnny. But there has to be a middle line here, doesn't there?
There does. So, look, what is it? Jonathan Ashworth, Shadow Health Secretary, is with us also this morning. Good to speak to you. So, look, what do we do then? We know we want to keep the good bits. And we want to get rid of the things that the people voted against and why we're heading towards Brexit in the first place. What's the figure that we should pay to keep the good bits?
Well, I mean, I think it's inevitable. We're going to have to pay something. And for Tory MPs just to say, oh, go whistle. Well, I know who is being told to go whistle. It's the NHS. They were going to get 350 million a week. I mean, we're not seeing a penny of that, are we? Look, I mean, the Tories are in a mess on this. They don't know the difference between their proverbial and their elbow on this. We'll probably have to pay something to carry on having the levels of trade access that we want, which is in the interests of British jobs, British businesses. But I think the government have really got to come clean now and tell us what their negotiating strategy is. We don't know. And the reason we have all these different figures flying around.
Labour needs to be clear too. You're the official opposition. Jeremy Corbyn said Labour should pay what it legally is due. What on earth does that mean? And that feels like a total escape.
But we've got to respond to what the government outline, and the government aren't being clear. I mean, Boris Johnson says one thing, David Davis says something completely different. According to the newspapers, this figure is the one that the government would prepare to pay.
John, can I jump in a second? John, can I jump in a second? Is it not fair to say we talk about political parties in disarray? This entire country's in disarray. The negotiators are in disarray. The MPs are in disarray. There's stuff being reported. Nobody knows what the truth is about that figure, about a free trade movement, about how much it's going to cost to go on holiday. The whole thing is an absolute shambles. And as I said earlier in the last hour of the programme, is it not true that all of you politicians should have done a better job to explain to the British people, whichever way they voted last year, and I'm not getting involved in that, I don't think the British people really knew the ramifications of what would happen after Brexit or not. I think that was the job the politicians should have done better, starting at the top with David Cameron. That's why I think we're in the mess, because I don't think people knew what was coming. Absolutely, I don't.